Huzzah for the meat bags! Oh. Okay, let me try to catch up here. Good morning. I don't know if my accent is good enough. Guten Morgen. Guten Morgen, Danny. You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for the follow. Thank you for the gift, my friend. Tossle. Spinning chair. I need to get myself a spinning chair so I can try that out to make sure I'm not throwing anybody for a loop, like a literal loop. Carly, thank you. I always accept healing energy through clear channels. So much appreciated. Always important. You're very welcome, Jay. Thank you for joining. Thank you for the gifts. Meowdy. Carly, you thought I had my hair buzzed? I've done it many times. I've got a bit of a mullet thing. It's like this is all long on top and a thing here. I usually shave the sides a couple times a year. I've got tattoos underneath them. So they're my secret. Deb, how often do I go live? Tiny yoga is Friday mornings at 9 a.m. But come the new year, I'm actually going to be changing my schedule. And we'll play it by ear next week. I was considering taking next week off just to be with family and whatnot. But the thing is I'm going to be doing these classes anyway. I'd be getting up and doing my tiny yoga anyway. So why not just go live anyway? So it'll be next week, 9 a.m. for tiny yoga, Friday morning. And that's Pacific time, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And then I also do Bhakti Bites classes, which is a short little meditation class where we practice a mindfulness tool with a meditation. And then we slip into some Dharma talk shenanigans afterwards. So those are Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning. This week we've been practicing the Dharma Chakra Mudra. So if you missed class, the Dharma Chakra Mudra is like so. If you guys want replays for tiny yoga or for past sessions, that's what replays are, is for past sessions, or for Bhakti Bites, those are on my YouTube channel at Move with Change on YouTube. Thank you guys for the follows again. What tea am I drinking, B? I've got Earl Grey and some like immune berry something or other. So it's a really interesting like berry black tea sort of thing happening. Score door. Do I want to fight? No, not typically. I realized for years I was fighting myself, which is why I fought other people. Sorry, friend, I don't go live with people I don't know. Feel free to send me a message. Bro, my friend, Muhammad, I'm not going live right now. Please stop requesting or I'll have to block you. That's simple as that. Decline means decline. That's how we take no for an answer, right? No, thank you, but thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and block. Okay, so all of that said, I'm trying to figure out how to shift my schedule for next year. I am gonna be. It's okay. It's what? Car. The neighbor. God forbid they decide to go run errands. Is that not allowed, dog? You do not approve of the neighbor running errands at this hour. Well, I don't know what else to tell you. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Reverend Deborah, and I am a movement facilitator, movement in breath, body, and being, and I am the owner of MoveWithChange.com. So I offer these live classes here on TikTok, and I will be offering live classes there as well over in Move With Change. But I'm trying to kind of sort out where the classes need to be, who most wants the classes, and yeah. So I will announce the schedule for next year as soon as I figure those things out. In the meantime, I offer group coaching to members over at Move With Change. If you'd like to join, you can join over at movewithchange.com. If you have any questions about joining, you can send me a message. If you subscribe here on TikTok, you receive a free month to Move With Change, and you can access that weekly group coaching. I think in the new year, I'm going to split it into 2 sessions rather than just one long session. That way more people have the opportunity to show up. I will be shifting Bhakti Bites probably so that we have one external class here and then another one internal class, and we'll see how that goes. And for the next couple of months, we'll kind of we'll move the schedule around to see what works for everyone. That said, what else? If you subscribe here on TikTok, I do subscriber-only lives. I do a Friday night, that's tonight, astrology live, which I'm going to have to shift. That's from 6 to 8 p.m., typically from 6 to 8 p.m. No, typically from 5 to 7. Oh, crap. Here, I should have all these things, like properly organized. Maybe I should have like a clipboard right here so I can say all the announcements after my classes because I forget all the shit. But there will be an astrology live tonight. I'm going to have to shift the astrology live because I'm bringing my son to a birthday party. So we're going to be a little bit later on the astrology live, but that's for subscribers only. And then next year, I'm going to be also adding a subscriber only live on Sunday or Monday, where we look at the planetary transitions for the week. I love doing the astrology stuff, and especially the astrology forecast. So you guys will know when Mercury is going to go into retrograde or when Saturn is going to square somebody else. And, I'll keep you guys abreast of those shifts and changes. What's my time zone? I am in the Pacific time zone. Kim, no, I have not. So I guess all of that said, if you want a bunch of subscribe here on TikTok. If you want private coaching, group coaching sessions and discounts on private coaching and energy work and private yoga sessions and whatnot, if you're a member over at Move With Change, you get heavy discounts on all of those services as a member, as well as that weekly group coaching session, as well as exclusive access to not only the lives, but also other classes over there. And that's all at Move With Change. Again, if you have any questions about any of that, feel free to send me a message here. You can also just send me a message over at Move With Change. The schedule is changing. It's not going to be changing a lot, but it is going to be changing a little bit. Awesome Kick, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Kim, are you interested in talking about Osho? I'm not so interested in talking about Osho. Humans are fallible. Humans are fallible. All of us are in some way or another. And while we don't perpetuate that fallibility, while we'd like to rise ourselves out of that fallibility, we acknowledge that profound teachings still come through us when we're broken. When we're broken. Everyone is fallible as a human. And I think to say you're not shows your fallibility, doesn't it? Was I connected to Osho? No, I was not. I read his teachings along my path without knowing much about him at all. I came across his words and read his words. and gained insight from his words, as many of his followers did, but read arrogance in his words. And I did not like reading his words, because I read that kind of like, you don't know love, you'll never know love sort of arrogance. And I'm like, how can you write a text that people that you don't know will read and still be so certain that the people who are reading, that your claim is still correct, even though you don't know who's reading? I don't know, that arrogance is one of those things that has always perplexed me about humans. But that's just my personal journey, I guess. Right? Thank you guys for the lives, or for the follows. But there are, for example, in the lineage of Kundalini yoga, there was a huge scandal in that lineage as well. And what's really beautiful is to see the way that people show up to carry on the wisdom of the teachings without allowing one or two or however many people's fallibility and mistakes ruin the teachings. Because again, this is, same thing with any religious teachings, any spiritual teachings, you're going to find humans interpreting it. And when humans interpret it, the possibility for mistake and for misunderstanding and misinterpretation is very high. Again, we're fallible. We're fallible. And to believe you're not means that, again, that you're blinded by your fallibility. You read some before everything was revealed. You agree? Yeah, there was that like arrogance to it. And I'm like, I don't know, if I wrote something to share with people, I wouldn't come from that place of arrogance. I would come from that place like M. Scott Peck in The Road Less Traveled, who goes, this is just what I went through. This is just what I experienced and what I saw and what I understood. And for me, it's profound truth. It may not be profound truth for you, because I recognize that we are each our own guru, right? And this is the big time shift that we're going through right now, the evolutionary shift that we're going through right now, where before that we had gurus, we had these wise individuals that we all must flock towards to receive our teachings from, and that we needed that middleman, so to speak, to reach our creator, to reach source. But especially with so many of our gurus falling to these mishaps of character, it is even more important for us to see the divinity within ourselves. Do I think there'll be a psychic awakening? There already is, my friend. There already is. And it's been a slow process for a while, but we've recently had kind of kicking up to the next gear sort of thing. So if I know lots of people who are experiencing a variety of symptoms, from things like sudden manifestation, to immediate karma responses, to psychic visions and astral projection, and just be gentle. Be gentle with yourself, please. Be playful with life, please. These are my most powerful lessons in life, is to be gentle and playful. And when we're gentle and playful, we afford ourselves a little bit of flexibility. When we're playful and gentle, we approach things with curiosity and willingness rather than fear and judgment or arrogance. We harshly judge other people's flaws just like we judge our own. And I would even say more so, right? More so, the way that we speak to ourselves is oftentimes far worse than the way that we speak to other people. And when I've met people in my life who are very verbally nasty to others, I go, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what it sounds like in your head. That's awful. And I've said it, it's funny, it's whatever. I've said it a couple of times this week, because it's really been sitting on my heart with that negative self-talk, because I still have some. And I've been working on it for years, but it wasn't until the last 2 years that I dug in my heels, made a commitment to my practice in this particular way, again, I guess, in my life. But imagine if you knew that your body was a temple. and that temple was designed to house a spark of a divinity. It's not just a meat bag, not just muscle and bone, but a temple for the divine. The temple, a vehicle for the divine to reside here on earth, in each of us. People need to realize the world is a dark place. You see, my friend, whatever your lenses color your reality. It's part of why we're stuck in our little subjective experience bubbles. Part of being stuck in our subjective experience bubbles. Your lens colors your reality. So if you see the world as dark, you will see the world as dark. From this side, it's not only dark. The world is light and dark. The world is the playground of duality. The fertile soil for our understanding. Little Ember. Oh, Ava, I really love that. If you knew that divinity lived within you, is that how you would talk to your God? If you knew that your self-talk was the way that you were talking to your little ember of source, of divinity, is that how you would talk to it? If you knew that in your child was a spark of divinity, would you still speak to them that way? God, source, is in everything in existence. If you look around and you don't see it in everything, then you're missing it. And I think to truly understand source or creator is to understand that it is in and through, and it is the fabric of everything. So when we start to differentiate and say, well, I'm godly and you're not, or you're a sinner and I am a saint, we dip ourselves into the matrix. We dip ourselves in the pool of duality. We separate ourselves. We begin that process again of isolation, of separation, of you versus me, of us versus them, of I need a middleman to talk to God because I don't know where God is. What a funny thing to run around your entire life looking outside of you for something that exists within you. If you were divinity, you would make sure you understood. As a parent, there is a thing that we do with our children where we allow our children to explore the world and discover things on their own. It's not our job to make sure they understand what we want them to understand. Yes, we share things with them, but it's ultimately their choice what to do with the information that we give them. And it's not really our place to judge what they do with that information. I know that sounds radical, but that's because we live in a culture that is very control-based and also very like cultivating this infantile relationship with somebody else being in charge. If you think God lives outside of you and you have to go through a middleman to talk to him, well, you're more likely to do things that, or behave in ways or say things that you have to say sorry for, or seek forgiveness for, or go confess, right? Thanks, Swanee. Buddy, I think that it's a beautiful process, that the process of slipping into this illusion of separateness is the journey back home to ourselves. It is my understanding that that's the whole point. So we have to slip into the illusion of separation to come back home. If you're going to come back home, you have to leave home first. If you're going to long for something, you have to first not have it or first leave it. When we are one with our divinity, we are and know and have all. So there's no discovery. There's no longing, no learning. There's just existing. So if you were omnipotent like that and decided you wanted to experience love, you'd have to separate yourself to then come back and love yourself. Sarah, yes, it's helpful to stay connected with like-minded friends to stay encouraged or focused on our truth. Agreed. It's important to speak to people who speak the same language as you do. And it's also important to speak to people who speak the very different languages. If we're surrounded by people who are all looking through a very, very similar window as we are, then our perception stays within that little, all of us are looking south. So now all we're going to see is south. What about those people? No, those people looking north, we don't look north. Those people looking north got it all wrong. But when I approach the people looking north with curiosity and willingness, although I don't have to take looking north as my end all be all, this is the way that I look, this is my reality. No, but I can peek over here and go, wow, interesting that you have a totally opposite reality from me. That's so cool. This is my reality. I don't have to take that on as my own, but I can still approach your reality with curiosity and willingness, right? Curiosity, willingness, playfulness, gentleness. My head's going, these are like the magic pills. No, the soothing balm. No, the magic wand. No, the fairy dust. No, I don't know. They're the fairy dust of life that make everything a little bit more sparkly, a little bit more beautiful, a lot bit more tolerable, and a lot more fun, and a lot more enlightening, I guess. They did a study. I studied human development and wellness for many years in college, and there's this study done on learning and on how effective learning is when based on our emotional state, based on the child's or person's emotional state. It was on children in particular. But they found through this study that not only children, but adults as well, learn best when there is a positive emotion attached to the learning process. So if I seek to learn and I seek to discover, but I attach judgment and frustration to what I'm learning, whether it's specifically when it's about somebody else, right? We do this often when it's about somebody else and somebody else's perspective. We stand there with our barrier up and not listening and hearing, not with curiosity and willingness, just waiting to speak, standing there arrogant, judging what they're saying. And I'm not going to learn shit that way, yo. I'm not going to, your brain doesn't receive information when you're doing that. Your energy body doesn't receive information when you're doing that because you're literally closing yourself off to receiving. And hey, if you don't want to learn something new, if you don't want to discover something outside of your very limited perception as a human, that's okay. That's your choice. There are gifts and lessons in that too. And if that's the path you choose, no judgment. I would say it's a harder path. You cause yourself more struggle and suffering. But there are lessons in that. There are gifts in that. And I commend those of you who choose a life of suffering because it's not easy. And I can't do it. So every day I take one little step away from suffering. again and again and again and again. Why one little step? Because all I have is today. If all I have is today. And that's really all I need. It's just little moments today to release attachment, judgment, suffering, frustration, anger. Tomorrow, if I choose to be an angry bitch, I can fucking choose to be that tomorrow. But today, I'm going to choose play. I'm going to choose gentleness. I'm going to choose kindness. I'm going to choose loving self-talk to myself and to my son and to the people I run into. Just for today. I encourage you to do the same. If it doesn't suit you, put it down. Go back to being you. Go back to doing whatever the hell you were doing before tomorrow. Eric, hey, my friend. Suffering is always optional. Yes, but we don't always feel that way and we don't always see that. And that's the hardest part, is when our locus of control is outside of ourselves. And we believe that we are the victims of our situation that are causing us suffering. If something is outside of us causing us suffering, well, then we have no control over it, right? And we're just victims of the suffering that's being created within us until we take personal responsibility and recognize that our response, that response of frustration or anger or suffering or whatever emotion that causes us that suffering, causes us that pain, it happened within us. It wasn't a physical dagger that came through our heart. It was a somatic response inside of my body. And if it's inside of my body, I have a lot more control over that. But to gain that control, I guess, I don't like the word control, we have to learn to take the reins. And if our horses are and running wild, it's really hard to find the reins. So, mindfulness brings us into the present moment, increases our response ability, our ability to respond to stimuli, internal or external, in the moment, and then make a choice. Do I want to suffer right now? Do I want to dip myself into that pool of anger? Maybe the answer is yes. Fucking choose it then, if that's what you're choosing, but know that you're choosing it. Acknowledge that you're choosing it and stop blaming other people and being like, you made me feel that way. You made me say something nasty. You made me. Really? You're a victim? Are you that? Are you that? Are you that puppeted by everyone and everything in your life? And it's okay to say yes. Because I spent years in that place of being a puppet, feeling like I was the one being attacked by the universe or by others, or the universe obviously had it out for me. I mean, I used to have this relationship with God where it was like, bro, you clearly fucking hate me. Either that or you've got some serious reward at the end of this bullshit. I don't know, but I can't do this anymore. And I begged outside of me for relief. Did I get it? No. Where did I find it? The pain I hold on to or refuse to address, I choose to hold and ignore. It will get worse. Yeah. Rosie, I'm curious about the book of AA is written on a 7th grade reading level. That's fantastic. So that means it's accessible, and it's simple, easy to understand, and it's something that has been really helpful for a bunch of people. Yeah. Ines, sorry if I say that incorrectly. Self-accountability is a beautiful habit to sink into. Learning comes naturally with ease over time. So again, how do we get there though? How do we get there? Mindfulness. Little things in the moment, little moments, right? Thank you, Jay. Only when I went with it did I come home to myself, connect to spirit, and find love and peace. Yeah. I think it's a travesty to think that our that peace is outside of ourselves, that any of these things are outside of ourselves, because it turns you directly away from, I mean, it turns you south from your north, right? If like your inner light is north and you just move south by saying, oh, nothing is within me, I've got to find it outside of myself, I'm going to go the opposite direction from where my divinity really is, from where that divine love, where that self-love is, where authenticity really is, where my truth really is, you know, where deeper understanding really resides, is within me. Rosie, if you don't resonate with what I'm sharing, there are lots of other places you can spend your time, my friend. Do the feelings of abandonment ever go away, Sarah? That was a big one for me. Abandonment. And the biggest part of that is, again, the process of coming home to yourself and what's the word I'm looking for? Unabandoning yourself. That is what moved me through that, is coming home to myself and being the one who takes care of myself, trusting myself to take care of myself, to keep myself safe, trusting myself to be kind to myself. And that is a daily moment, like it's a moment to moment practice, right? When I go to do the dishes and I see the sink full of dishes and my self-talk says, you fucking left these dishes for how many days? Now you got to fucking sit here and do them. I was not kind to myself. And it's in those little moments that trust is built. It's in those little moments. Those are the actions that I would suggest, is those little moments. Thank you, Jay. Yes, Eric, I will never abandon myself, yet so many of us do. And so many of us are taught that that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to abandon ourselves for other people, for our job, for our partner, for our kids, for our God, for whomever. We're supposed to completely abandon ourselves for everything outside of ourselves. And then someday you'll be rewarded by, I don't know, there's always a reward at the end, right? That carrot leading you away from yourself and from your truth. Buddy, did I do them? Did I do the dishes? Yes, but here's the thing. So there's two things I do when self-talk arises, right? The first thing is to notice the self-talk. Maybe it's more than one, maybe it's more than two. First thing is to notice the self-talk. And to notice the self-talk, I need to be mindful of what's happening in the moment. I need to be aware of what's happening in the moment. That comes from just being as present as possible throughout my day. One of the first practices that I use to really sink myself into my day is to bring myself into my moment with breath, with looking for the colors around the room, with closing my eyes and listening to all the sounds in the room, with looking at the dishes and looking at all the colors and feeling the soap on my hands, right? These things bring us into the present moment so we can hear our inner dialogue in the moment when it's happening. Then when that happens, I turn to myself like the big sister or the loving parent or whoever, whatever character it is that makes me feel soothed in that moment. I turn to myself and go, oh, honey, it's okay. It's okay that you took a couple of days to do the dishes. What did you do instead? You hung out with the kid or you went and did these other things. It's okay. We all, sometimes you need a break from dishes. I offer myself a rebuttal, but in that kind, loving, gentle way. And then either while I'm doing the rebuttal or afterwards, I usually touch where either my heart or wherever I'm feeling it in my body. So if it's something like anxiety that I'm feeling in my belly, I will touch my belly. If it's in my heart, I will touch my heart. If it's anxiety in my throat, I will touch my throat and have that conversation with myself as I am offering myself gentle healing, compassion. I'm going to catch up on now. What is that even? Of wick walk with people expectations? Yes. versus humane being. I like that. Thank you for showing up today, Sarah. Thank you guys. Solo, this particular, not exactly. So this is my business, so to speak. My name, for those of you who are new here, hello, my name is Reverend Deborah. I am a movement facilitator. I facilitate movement in breath, body, and being, and I am the owner of movewithchange.com. I offer private coaching. I offer private yoga classes. I do energy work in person and distance. I teach yoga classes here. I also teach my Bhakti Bites classes, which are little mindfulness, short meditation classes. All of them are at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday mornings are those classes. So do I make money? I make money off of coaching. I make money offering private coaching sessions, private classes. Yeah. And I also offer memberships over at my website. So a membership gets you access to exclusive classes, to weekly group coaching, as well as discounts on private sessions as well. So yeah, I do. This is my work. I do offer coaching by donation though, as well, because it's not about having a huge price tag and setting this gate where nobody can access this toolbox I have unless you can pay an exorbitant amount of money right out of the gate. No. So I offer this kind of stuff. I don't do it here because I'm making tons of money off of it. I do it because it's helpful. I do it because it has changed my life. I do it because I wouldn't be sitting here without these practices. And I was in a place of not being sure I would wake up the next morning after morning after morning, hoping I wouldn't. And it was mindfulness. It was coming back to these practices. It was gentleness, kindness, learning to love myself, coming home to myself, recognizing my divinity again after losing it, after losing sight of it. These things brought me back to life. And yes, I paid plenty for trainings and certifications and years of higher education, but they don't cost me anything to share them to you right now, to share them with you. So I give it because I love you, really. Rosie, TikTok is an illusion and behind it is fascism. I won't talk about politics in this class right now, in this session right now. But maybe we can have another late night whatnot if you really want to. Yeah, if you really want to chat about that. Jen, love me more today in those moments. Nice. Solo, you guys, we don't need to argue over, thank you guys, Jay and Solo. We don't need to argue over supporting me. Again, I'm not sitting here asking you guys to do that. I'm not sitting here begging for you guys to send me that stuff. I'm telling you, I'm sitting here doing this as a Seva project, as a here you go, you're welcome, if you want it. But if you don't have to be here. If it's not for you, it's not for you. It's a really, really important skill for us to learn is discernment. How to discern whether something's for us or not for us. We cause ourselves suffering by not knowing how to discern and instead using judgment as our marker for, oh, I judge that, I don't like that, so it must be wrong, and I must need to spend my time telling other people how what they're doing is wrong. That is, again, a form of suffering. You're causing yourself suffering by your attachment to somebody else doing what you think that they should do. But that is its own illusion and own kind of arrogance. Thank you guys for perceiving that your opinion and judgment is better than anyone else, or that your choices or your beliefs or your truths are better or more valid than anyone else. And again, you've got yourself stuck behind quite a veil of illusion when you see the world in that way. So again, I encourage you guys to enjoy this space with a sense of curiosity and willingness. And if that's not for you, and you're walking with judgment, you're wearing the coat of judgment, that's okay. But that's not what this space is for. And I won't I won't spend much time countering your judgments, because it's not what I'm here for either. My favorite is that story of the monk in the square, in the shopping square, in the courtyard, in the market. There we go, the market square. He's sitting in the market square, and he's sitting there meditating, his eyes half open, doing his little meditative people watching and just enjoying the vibe of the market. And somebody decides they don't like what the monk is doing. So they come up to the monk, and they start telling him. And the monk proceeds to continue his people watching and continue his meditation. And the person gets louder and louder and louder and more agitated because he's attached to for this monk, for hearing what he has to say and his judgments about what the monk is doing. And finally, the guy gets so frustrated that he's yelling at the monk in his face and going, "Don't you hear what I'm saying to you?" And finally, the monk offers him a gentle smile, opens his eyes the rest of the way, and says, "I hear you. I simply choose not to receive the gifts, to accept the gifts that you are offering me. Thank you." And he goes back to his meditation. We don't have to receive the judgments that other people throw our way, right? They're not for you. They're not even about you. Somebody's judgments are a confession of their own perceptions and their own shortcomings and their own fears and judgments and their own self-talk, right? The way that we hear others talk, the way that it is a confession. The way that we talk about ourselves and about others and about the world, the judgments we lay, are confessions. And they have very little to do with anybody else. Just catching up on comments here, guys. Oh, little bits. If someone has to love me, it better be me. Yeah, I like that. Someone has to love me. It better be me. We spend so many years looking for it outside of ourselves, for validation, for whatnot. Buddy, you have an overflowing toolbox now. You just need to use them. That years. Okay, I spent 12 years in university, multiple certifications on top of that, 20 plus years working in the field of human development and wellness in various capacities. And there's a huge difference between knowing the tools and understanding them and integrating them into your life and into your practice. And that is when the tools really begin to work for you. We can read a million books, but until we know how to incorporate those practices into our lives, into our day-to-day, because today is all you have. Don't tell me you're going to do it tomorrow. Do it today. What you can do it today. Don't have to do all of it today. Just do what you can today. Honor yourself for where you are in this moment. I quit smoking cigarettes by congratulating myself on doing what I did that day, even if it was a whole pack of cigarettes. I know that sounds radical, but it made a huge difference, because what I realized was that in my attachment to the argument, my judgment about smoking and about what I was doing and about why I was doing it was causing more suffering and was causing me to struggle and fight against the brain and the body, which when you wage that battle, when it turns into a battle, it is a war that you will fight your entire life. And it was my mom who said, "Is that how you really want to live? You want to make an enemy of yourself and you want to live with that enemy for the rest of your life? Why? But how, Mom? How do I get past the parts that I don't like? How am I supposed to make friends with the parts of myself that I don't like? I'm judging me. How do I make friends with the person I already don't like?" With radical kindness, radical self-compassion. And it feels awkward and weird and funny at first. It feels fake. It feels cliche. But if you stick with it, you find the validity in it. You find the truth in it. And when you find yourself one day meeting your anxiety with compassion, and when you realize, when you have that feeling, when it sinks in, when it soothes you, and you're able to step through that anxiety, that trigger, and move on in a way that feels soothing and loving rather than stuffing it away or whatnot, then you start to see the magic. But again, thank you guys for the gifts. But again, it takes time. It takes time. I can't say it enough. Honor where you are in this moment, because pushing yourself to be different and to change right now, today, and be healed is another form of suffering, is another form of judgment, another form of causing pressure, rather than just offering yourself compassion and love. Is there a balance between compassion? Compassion and love doesn't mean allowing yourself to be stagnant. It doesn't mean giving yourself permission to be inert, right? That's its own form of attachment and suffering. Okay, hold on. I'm a little lost on comments here. Ooh, I love watching you guys try to do like manipulation tactics and gaslighting. It's adorable. Discernment is a superpower when you learn to listen to it. Absolutely. Ooh, Sarah, you just quit vaping. Congratulations, my friend. Whoop, whoop. I'm still working on it. I still have a smoke at night. Just one before bed. I'm still working on that one. But I quit smoking tailor-mades that I would just like sit there all day long with them, right? Without self-love practices. I am worthy of my own love. If anyone is worthy of my love, it should be me first. I am definitely worthy of my love. And I think if I'm really going to understand who to give my love to, I need to understand my love. I need to understand how I love and what that looks like to experience my own love before I experience love from another. Yeah, that always helps when it starts like tasting disgusting. Yeah. Ava, I roll my own. That's why. My love comes from me. I should know it. That it is me. I can and will love me. Yeah, Eric. You are absolutely worthy of love. Absolutely. Every single one of you. And that love is already available to you. It doesn't have to come from outside of you. In fact, it's important that it comes from inside of you first, so that when we perpetuate self-violence through self-talk, through negative, through behavior choices and whatnot, when we do that to ourselves, we accept more of that from people outside of ourselves as well. And I think this is probably one of the most important things for me about self-love. And what put me back on my path is I found myself in I can't tell you the details here on TikTok, kind of relationship that I had to escape. I had to get, And I realized that it was out of my own self-doubt, my own lack of loving myself, my own fear that I wasn't lovable, my own misconceptions about myself, my own judgments and hate for myself that allowed that kind of person to not only be in my life, but for me to let them in so deeply into my life and allow, again, this is a very fine line and people tend to misunderstand it because they hear this and they say, wait, you mean it's your fault that that person did nasty things, that that person did awful things to you. No. It is not your fault that somebody else's behavior is never your fault. Do we make choices that put us in situations that increase our risk, increase the likelihood and chance that we will run into that behavior or those characteristics or those kinds of people? Yes. And that's the part that we have to take responsibility for, are the choices we made that allow, again, if this is my temple and I'm opening the doors to anyone and everybody and letting anybody in and letting them throw ragers and spray paint the walls and fucking destroy the place, all because I'm begging for somebody to come in and fix my temple for me, I'm putting myself in that situation. Self-love, boundaries, loving boundaries, and the awareness that it's a process, and the ability to forgive yourself. You're just, one speck of God trying to love itself. You deserve a little compassion. Can you imagine trying to put infinite cosmic power into itty-bitty living space, into a meat bag? Can you imagine trying to distill infinity into the finite? It's not easy. Thank you, Galactic Overlord. It's not easy. So give yourself a little grace, a little compassion, radical self-love. Remember that this is a temple that houses your divinity. And the words you speak within this temple echo through those walls. These walls do hear you. And these walls do talk. They talk in the way that you carry yourself. They talk in the repeat stories. They talk in the reactions to internal and external stimuli. So listen. Listen. Love. Listen and love. If you knew divinity was in you, if you knew divinity was always listening, is that how you would talk to your God? All right. I love you so much, my friends. I will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for Bhakti Bites to practice our mudra for the last day of the week, the last practice of the week for our mudra. If you would like replays to this class or to Bhakti Bites, those are on YouTube at Move With Change. Yes, Emily, thank you. Pacific time. It's Pacific time. All of my things are in Pacific time. I'm sorry, I forget to say it all the time. I feel like I need something on my head that says Pacific time. Replays are at Move With Change. Tonight is our astrology live. It's 2 hours of astrology chart reading. If you don't have your natal chart, feel free to bring your birth info and we will get your natal chart and chat about it too. For those of you who've been there already, we will just slip deeper and deeper into your charts the more sessions we do. It is going to be a little bit later tonight. I think I might go on at 6, possibly even as late as 7, because we're going to go to a birthday party. So just keep an eye out for that. I will let you guys know. You've got to be specific. It's specific. Now you're giving me tongue twisters. But the astrology live is subscriber only. So to access that one, you've got to subscribe. Remember that you do get a 6-minute preview. So if you just want to wait until tonight and like see if you feel like subscribing based on the preview for it, feel free to do that as well. They're really lovely sessions. I really love astrology as one of the many lenses that we can view the world and ourselves through. And there's value in seeing the world through as many lenses as possible so that we can kind of get a better, clearer picture of the whole left coast. All right, guys. Again, if you'd like to work privately with me, my website is movewithchange.com. You can send me a message over there. You can send me a message here on TikTok. I do private coaching sessions. If you are a member over at Move with Change, you receive weekly group coaching sessions as well as private classes come the new year. Every workshop I do is also free to my members. Those workshops will be sold externally for non-members, but as a member, you get free access to that. So, and if you subscribe here on TikTok, you get a free month over at Move with Change. If you have any questions, thank you, Gigi. Yes, subscribing here gives you a free month on Move with Change. If you have any questions about signing up, let me know. Send me a message. If you'd like to work directly with me and have any questions, let me know. Send me a message. If you'd like to continue conversations about these things, you can also send me a message for that as well. I'm happy to have conversations. Rosie, if you're still in here, I'd love to chat with you some more. Yeah, I love you guys so much. I hope you have an amazing Friday, and I will see you in astrology tonight. Love you guys.